Hey, hello, this is Jim. I'm going to take you through the Containers and Cloud Native Roadshow today. This will be Module 4, and we'll all start here. I'll put in my email address and the Red Hat password that we provided, and this should assign me a user number. I'm user 1. I got here first, so you'll be assigned a sequential user number when you log in. The module, we'll open this up, is the Cloud Native and Event-Driven Development. This guide will walk us through the whole workshop. And the important thing to know here is that you can get this guide all printed out into one page and then save it as a PDF. And as you go through this with all the links you see and all the information that's part of this, there's really a compelling benefit to saving this as a prototype for when you want to do some of these very things with your projects. So make sure your username shows up right here at the center. I'll just kind of highlight my cursor here because that is then passed into the document as a HTML parameter there. And I'm not going to read this all to you because you can read it for yourself, but there is a very nice explanation of what all the components are, what projects they depend upon in the open source world. And at Red Hat, we fund and work on a lot of those projects. So we're always working to try and make open source better for developers. So cloud native architectures really provide us a myriad of benefits, including the ability to deploy anywhere, have reactive sorts of applications, have very good scalability, um, actually have a lot of ability to help us in terms of messaging between components. So a distributed application has always been a big challenge in the industry. And a lot of the magic that's coming into Kubernetes and OpenShift and a lot of the open source projects are making that dramatically more simple. In some cases, removing it from your applications themselves. And what we'll show you how to do today is to basically use plugin components to keep you from writing a lot of things you normally have to do in your source code. One thing to really highlight here is Quarkus. That's a very high speed, very small, quick to start up Java implementation built on the Graal VM, which is a descendant of technologies from Oracle's labs that they open sourced. And Quarkus, the mantra is it's a subatomic supersonic Java. And the objective has been to make it so quick and slow that it works great in containers and it can scale from 0 to 60 and back again to provide a serverless access point for Java code. So there you go, a Java serverless endpoint for a function as a service. And we'll be told here how to get going with the lab. So if I click here, I can close that tab. I have my username. This will bring up our IDE, Integrated Development Environment. And this is what it's doing here is it's getting us logged in. We use our user number. The secret password, which you've been given. And now we have our access to generate a workspace. Well, actually, one's been generated for us here. But CodeReady Workspaces is built off of the Eclipse Shea project, which has a backend code from the open source VS Code from Microsoft. And the Eclipse J and Red Hat, with its work on this, has made it, a web interface. This is being hosted on the OpenShift cluster itself. So if I click here on my workspace, then I'll have some options here. It's good to know that you can start and stop your workspace from here. For what I'll do here is I'll tell it to run. It's starting. And once it's done starting, I can open it. And then if it misbehaves, and once in a while it can get a little scrambled up, it's a JavaScript HTML5 application. You can hit Control Refresh up in the browser. If that doesn't fix it, if somehow it's not behaving right, and it's infrequent, but it can happen, you can stop and then restart from this menu item. This menu item is a once you see it start off, it'll be a flyout from here. Here's where if I was assigned a different user number partway through the workshop, I could log out down in the lower left here for user one, and if my instructor gave me a different user number, I could do that. So what we see in the lower left here is that a container image is being brought down to run on the cluster. And I'll pause it so that we'll just restart when it's ready. Okay, it's almost up. I don't have a very high-speed internet connection. The container is running right here. You can see on the lower left, and now it's just bringing my JavaScript down to the console. Okay, so we're all up and going. There's a source code tree over here. The Thea, there's some settings there just for the environment itself. Thea is the project name of Eclipse Che upstream. And we can pull that aside here. One thing I want to point out, over here on the right, there's a three-dimensional box-like box, and that is a toolbox. And I'm going to have to embiggenate the fonts here. And you can see that can open terminals, log into OpenShift, things like that. Now I want to get the source code into my IDE, and we're guided here that if we want to do that, we can import the project by doing a git clone of this repository. So down here in the center panel, I've got Git. Up here in the upper left, I can paste that. And it should go into projects just as it wants to. Select that location. And now it is here on the left. So if you click on that, you see that we have different microservices: cart service, catalog, cool store, etc. And the next step, we just want to make sure we have the right version checked out. And since we're running this lab on OpenShift Container Platform 4.5, we'll check out that branch. Here's where a terminal is very helpful. Enter that command. And yep, we were already on 4.5, but it's good luck to make sure you're on the proper branch of your software during the project work. And now we're done with the introduction here. We'll continue on with the cacheable services.